Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our August edition of Tips and Tricks 22.2 release highlights. This is Fred Foster, and I'm joined by our Tips and Tricks team, Cooper Radcliffe, Marjorie Faust, Karen Cifuentes. We have several guests this month, David Perez, Jackie Hirth, and Jasmine Cooper. This morning we'll be going into dashboard building and insight, as well as new features in 22.2, including Foundation and Framework, Incident Management, App Builder, Activity Manager, Chemical Management, Performance Management, Audit Management, Learning Management, Operation Profile Management, and finally Document Management. So to start us off with insight, here's Cooper.
Thanks, Fred, and welcome everyone. We are going to continue our journey in understanding Insight. We have been exploring Insight over the last few months, really understanding the help surrounding it, how to use it, what is the difference between a report, how do I build that, and then a dynamic dashboard, and how do I build that. That is actually where we're at today. We're going to jump in and start understanding dynamic dashboard and some of the capabilities within that. This will be at a low level. When you click Insight, that's going to bring you to the Insight landing page. So again, we have these pre-populated tabs, out of the box dashboards up here. I'm going to dive into IMS module today, but there's other dashboards that you can view out of the box, and you can save those down to your profile and within your user and start customizing those and where you're not having to build something from scratch. But if you wanted to explore different areas within the modules and different components and just trying to play around and get more familiar with dynamic dashboard building, let's start from scratch. So how do we do that? I'm going to click New at the bottom left of my screen. I'm going to click the big square, white square that's surrounded by gray. I'm going to double click that. When I do that, it populates me to this page. I need to select a source. When I say source, that is essentially a data package, or what module are you looking to explore and building different outputs and visualizations for. For today's purposes, I'm going to select IMS. So in that source, every source is located under the author library and under package. When you click package, you click Incident Management, and that's going to bring me to my only selection, which then I would click Add at the bottom right. I'm now on the dynamic dashboard page, and I can begin building visualizations. But before I do that, I want to kind of go over some layout and housekeeping items and what the different functionality within my screen looks like. First, I know we're familiar with the items off to the left. That's the data package. Those are the elements that I will be utilizing to pull data into different visualizations that I will be creating on my canvas. Okay, off to the top would be your the filters are broken down into two areas. One area on the left applies to all tabs. Okay, we will get into tabs here in a minute, but this applies to all tabs. The one on the right, which is drag and drop data here to filter this tab, that is going to apply for that specific tab. Okay, so now what do tabs mean? Tabs are utilized to be able to disseminate data. So maybe you want to, for today's purposes, we're going to be looking at recordable injuries only, but within recordables, there's different areas that you might want to see or have data broken out by. One tab may be just a overview, if you will, of recordable injuries, where they're happened, body parts, nature, cause. Another tab may be, hey, how are we doing on from an investigation standpoint? Do we have a lot of open versus closed? And if we do, what are some actionable items that I can see out of that? Maybe investigation owners, or we would be able to populate that data that you can have actionable data to be able to take back to the team and say, hey, these are the investigations that are open, and this is how you can leverage this dynamic dashboard to take that back to the team. Okay. And then a third one would just be maybe you want to break it down by shift. If you're utilizing that feature within the process map system, that could be a third item there. Shift by job role, recordable injuries, count, things of that nature. So for this instance, I'm going to just an overview. And when I click the plus sign to add a tab, you can double click the white box or you can click create. I'm going to now edit the 2 tabs. So I've now edited the 3 tabs that we will be building visualizations within. Now let's jump into how do I start building a visualization. So you will do that if you navigate over to the left side of your screen. You will see a bar icon. You click that labeled visualizations. For this, I would like to see different severities, case severities or case classifications for my months. So for this visualization, I'll utilize the stacked column. I can click on that or I can drag and drop. For this, I'm going to expand my visualization and start pulling measures and data items into this visualization. First, I'm going to start with the bottom, which is labeled bars. That will be my months. So I will navigate to the time information and you can sort by month name. This is a drag and drop feature. So if you click on the name, you can drag that into this section under the bars, or you can actually drag it into the section over here off to the right of your screen. The next step is labeled length. That is a count. So how many recordable cases have I had within each month? So I will now navigate to total recordable, and this populates total recordable cases. I drag and drop that into that field, and now at a high level, this gives me by each month without a actual year filter or level or location filter. This gives me my initial data. The next step is to filter based on severity of the case. So I have typed in most severe, so most severe case, and I will click on that and drag it into my color. So for a layout over here, bars is going to be the bottom of your visualization, length is going to be the count, and then color is going to be how do I see different items and group those together, and that's going to be color. You can actually add filters, local filters. This is a field that will specifically apply to this visualization, but for now I want to add filters at a high level. So I will type in level 0 and I'm going to drag that into the top left filter, which is labeled by all tabs here. So this will apply to all tabs. This will apply on the right side, will only apply to this tab. So I have gone in and added these different filters here. So to give you a layout view of level 0, level 1, level 2, and location code, you can add as many filters as you would like. You could just utilize the scroll feature. And so all these filters here will apply for all tabs. The calendar year would apply for this tab. So I'm going to now navigate to the second tab to show you that feature. So if I click on the second tab, you notice this filter now disappears. I'm going to navigate back to the first tab. So let's add a couple of more visualizations, and I will add a cause, and I'm going to add the pie chart for this. So now for segments, I would like to include cause, so drag and drop that into segments. So for a pie chart, segments will be the different areas of data, and the size Again, that will be a count. So I will type in recordable cases. So there's a lot of data here. And now let's start filtering out. I will show you the copy feature, and then we can start filtering the data and looking at that functionality. So if you click on the visualization, you can see at the top of your screen there's different icons. If you find the duplicate, it'll be a white square. You can click duplicate, and now that has now duplicated my visualization. So if there's a lot of, if you've already put in the filter, local filters, and the different areas that you would like to look at, and you just want to change maybe one segment. So in this case, I would want to change segment. I can easily click that. And maybe I want to change it to nature. And so now I've changed this to nature. So I've got a view of cause of injury and illness and nature of injury and illness. And then now I can filter. So this is a dynamic dashboard. The really cool feature about this is based on each click, it shows me the different data that is tied and applies to that specific click from the information I clicked on. So maybe I would like to see January's restricted duty cases only. If I click on that, this is now going to populate the different areas. Okay, again, there's still a lot of data here, so how can we filter this even further? If I click on calendar year, that's going to now populate this, and I can scroll down and find different features and years. So now if I filter this based on 2022, all data within this tab is filtered based on that year. You can also do have the same feature for your FY, which is system red. And so you can filter based on month, based on year. Now you have counts, and you can really break down the risk within your organization. The final use case would be to explore investigations opened versus closed. So I'm going to bring in a visualization, and this will be a stacked column. And for bars, I'm going to filter based on, I'm going to drag and drop by month name, and for length, this would be total recordable, because we're only looking at recordable cases. And now for the color would be investigation status, which translates into investigation report status. I'm going to drag and drop that into a color, and now that will give us, this is a hard color here, but you can change colors. That will give us the difference between each month. This is what has been open and is still open and incomplete, if you will, and what's complete. So now let's change the color real quick, so you can navigate from the fields item up here into properties. Properties is actually editing the visualization from a color to the title to the numbers to just any way that you would like to see the data. So you would go into the color palette, and you can just click on the different ones that you would like to see. Okay, so it's a little easier. If I would like to see numbers based on this chart, you could easily just click chart, and it will take a little bit to get familiar with the different items here, but I encourage you to go in and explore the functionality there. You could easily click show value labels, and now you have labels populated for each of these months. The last visualization that we will do today would be what way can I have actionable data and see what needs to be done based on an interactive click. Okay, I will now build the final visualization, which will be a list or table view. So I'm going to navigate to the visualizations and then pull in a table. Make the table bigger so we will be able to see it. And now you can just start typing, and that's on the right of your screen under columns. You can click into there and start typing the different information that will be valuable to your organization to see, based on, if you were to click in January, you have 43 incomplete investigations. What data is actionable and helpful for you to be able to get these closed out? So now I've gone ahead and built a table. Again, this is just a drag and drop for reference. Action item status. It's a drag and drop wherever you would like to have it within the visualization. So now what you have, you've created a month by month open or complete, incomplete versus complete or finished investigation. So based on that click, you would be able to click 43, and then that now populates this table view down here. And then you have actionable data. You can easily go in, okay, this incident ID, this is the title, this is the description, this is what happened. Okay, so now investigation details is incomplete, everything else is complete. That means I need to go in and finish investigation details. So you have actionable data. The last thing I'll leave you with, I always challenge you from a reporting standpoint and just analysis and risk analysis within building reports and visualizations, always building something that will be able to have actionable data and be able to help you within risk reduction and risk identification within your organization. Thank you so much. I will see you.
We have added a lot of great features into Foundation. So to start off, we're going to talk about creating system views for the home screen as well as system views for the list screens. Currently, we don't have an option to create, for a system admin, to create a system view. If you needed a system view created, you had to open up a support ticket and have our technical team do it for you. Now you'll be able to do it by yourself. So that works for both the home screen as well as for list screens. In order to create these system views under either the list screens or the home page, you do need to have a system administrator role under system permissions. So that will give you the access to create those system views. So let's see how that works. To create a system view for your home page, all you have to do is click on your drop down, and you'll see an option for Add New View. I'm going to click Add New View, and I'm going to add a couple of widgets to my screen. So I've added the widgets that I want. I can click the X right on here. You can see the widgets on the screen. Now I'm going to give the view a name. We'll call this Tips and Tricks. And I have two options here. I have Make Default View and Make System View. Well, that's the purpose of what we're doing right now, is to make a system view that'll show up in the system view list. If I want, I can also make this a default view. What that means is each user, when they go into the system, will get this view as their default unless they've already created another view and set that as their default. This will not overwrite any existing default views, but if you want it to be the default view for the users, just click that in. Click on Save. Tells me that it's been successfully saved. And if we look at our drop-down list, right here under System Views, I have the Tips and Tricks homepage. Similarly to how we created the system view for our homepage, we can do the same thing with any of our list screens. So I'm right here in the License and Permit module. And if we look at our drop-down, there's only one view, a default view. So I'm going to go and add a new view because I'm going to create a system view. So we're going to give it a name. I'll call this Tips and Tricks. And I'm going to make it a system view. Again, if I want to make it a default view for all users, I can check that in. If the user had already set up their own default view, this will not overwrite it. I'm going to go and select my filters. I'm just going to have this be for active permits. So it's only for active permits. We'll check our columns. And I'm going to add a few more columns over to my page. Then I'm going to click on Save. It tells me the data has been successfully saved. And now I see the Tips and Tricks view. I can go and change it to the default view very easily, or just go back to my Tips and Tricks view. So very easy to set up your own system views on any of the list screens. Just remember right now, once you create that system view, it will be there and you cannot delete it. We have the delete function coming in next version of software. We've added some new date filter options to the list screens for before today and after today. And you'll see these on the list screens when you select the filters before today or after today. This is great for creating certain views. Maybe you want to see action items that were due before today, or maybe action items due after today. You can set your filters up to show those items. Enhancements to the employee template. We've made a number of enhancements to the employee import template. Now if you add different employee types, they will display in the template. We also will display supervisor ID, allowing you to select the supervisor in the employee import tool more easily. And we've added driver's information to the tool as well. So if we look at an example of the template, any employee types that you enter into the system will now be available for you on the template. If you look at the supervisor here, we've added the supervisor's ID that helps identify the supervisor. And we've added a number of fields for license information for drivers to the template as well. We have added Mexican currency and a semi-monthly wage frequency in the employee wage setup. So if you look at the employee setup, next to wage, you'll see Mexican listed as an additional currencies along with US dollar and Canadian dollar. And you'll also see semi-monthly as a pay period. The user import template will now add scope and permissions to all locations that are under a selected level. So now on the user import template, if you select a level, it will add the permissions that you set for any locations that are under that level. We've also added permissions for App Builder Insight and the OPM module. Here we have the user import template. If you look at what I selected for level 0, I selected by geography. We can look to see what we have in level 1. We have number of different locations, same with level 2. But I'm not going to fill anything in for these other levels, as well as the location code here. I'm going to leave that blank and not select a particular location. Then when I do the import, any of the locations that are listed under by geography will have Bugs Bunny imported into those locations. All the roles that you set up and permissions, those will all be set for all those locations underneath by geography. So there's no need to fill out multiple lines on the import template anymore. We've enhanced our copy location function to be able to include information from the incident management module as well as from the audit management module. Currently, if you did a copy location, you could only copy foundation lookup values, but in the new version, you'll be able to copy incident management lookup values as well as questions and protocols from the audit management module. I'm going to make a copy of the Westlake location. So I'm going to click the checkbox next to Westlake, and click on Copy Location. Now if I go into the component box here, you'll notice that we have a number of different elements for foundation, but in 22.2 we also added some lookup values for incident management, such as work shift, investigation responsibility, management review, and notifications. And in audits, we've added questions and protocols. So I'm going to check these in. So I have all the components added. I'm going to click on Next. And it's going to tell me that we have a copy of Westlake. I'm going to change the name from Copy of Westlake to New Westlake. And I'll click on Save. And those components have all been copied over to the new location. Location administrators will now be able to import organizational components, users, and employees for their location. So previously, only a system admin was able to do imports. Now we've taken that down to the location level, so location administrators can do those imports also. Location administrators can now use employee, user, and organizational component import templates in their own location. So if we go to Setup, Location Setup, you'll see a new menu item here, Data Management. When I click on Data Management, you'll see upload templates for users, employees, and organizational components. This allows the system admin to enter and upload this information just for the location that they're in. So there won't be an option on the templates to select what location. It will all be for the location that you download the template into. Now I will be going over some of the new features in incident management. Thank you. I'm going to go over some of the new items that we've added to the incident management module, including a UI to manage investigation requirements. We've added the significance level to reports. We have the ability to change the default response for was the employee injured on premises, as well as being able to edit driver's license information in vehicle claims. As an admin, I want to have a UI to manage investigation requirements. Currently, if you need to make any changes to investigation requirements, you had to put in a ticket, and our technical team would have to do that. Now we've added a new option in module configuration under the module setup and incident management, where you can manage this yourself. So I'm going to go to Setup, Module Setup, Incident Management. And right up here, we have a new option, Configurations. And when I go into the configuration screen, the first thing you're going to notice is a drop-down for the incident type. Each of the incident types that are configured in your system will display here. We'll do injury illness, so I'm going to select that. And then we have different options. So it starts off with investigation responsibility. And for each of these, whether it's not classified, if it's recordable, first aid only, or non-work related, we have a drop-down where you can set the investigation responsibility to either be optional, required, or not applicable. Each of these right now is set as optional. The next section is investigation details. So we have not classified, if it's recordable, first aid only, or non-work related. And again, we have the drop down for required, optional, or not applicable for the investigation details. If you are using an ergonomic analysis, we have the same drop downs for that. as well as contributing factors, same options. 5 why analysis, same options are available there. Root cause analysis, again, required, optional, or not applicable for each of the different incident types. Final root cause statement, lessons learned if you are using that option. Section for CAPA requirements. And the CAPA section completion requirements. This is telling you how many you have to have for each of the different incident types. Finally, we have management review. Now the drop-downs will vary based on the type of incident. So you'll notice when we go to a near miss, we don't have the same number of options because it's a near miss. We go to environmental, similar to near miss, we don't have the different incident types that we have with injury illness, so we have basic configurations. Now you'll also see a second tab up here that says field level configuration. If I go over to field level configuration, this is where you can set some different default values. So here, do we want to have the notify immediate supervisor checkbox checked? It's a yes or a no. In the 5 why analysis, do we want to display the checkbox? Is an evaluation mandatory for all contributing factors? And here we can say we can evaluate one or all or one factor for each category. So you have some options there. Number of 5 whys or number of whys required for each of the contributing factors can be set right here, up through 9. In the root cause analysis, do we want to enable the management system elements? Do we want to make the root cause analysis dependent on investigation, question completion? Again, you have yes or no options here. And in the final root cause statement, do you want to display the primary countermeasure field, the primary root cause, and the root cause completion date? So lots of options for you to select. Once you have the changes to your configuration set, all you have to do is click Apply Configuration. The system's going to tell you that a logout is required to save the changes. We'll click OK, and the system will log me out. When you log back in, your changes will be there. As an end user, I want to view the significance level in a report. So we've added the significance level to the incident details report. When you go to run the incident details report, you will see a new option, confirm significance level of incident. You can check that in and that will come out on your report. As an end user, I want the ability to change the default response for employee on premises field in near miss reporting. So we've added a public configuration, employee premises default. This can be set as yes or no. And if you set it as yes, the question will now default to yes. As an end user with edit vehicle claim permission, I want to be able to view license information. So we've added a new public setting that says view driver's license data. This can be set to yes or no. And when it's set to yes, you can view and edit the driver's license number from the user setup. Now here's Jasmine with some more items in incident management.
Thanks so much, Fred. Let's look at a few other items on incident management. On today's agenda, we'll cover mapping body parts, lookup values on the body part diagram. We'll also take a look at filtering those body parts using the body parts diagram and the pick list. Let's start with mapping body part lookup values on the body part diagram. As an end user, I want the option to map body parts lookup values on the body part diagram. Body part diagram has been integrated in the body part lookup value screen. After selecting a body part from the body part diagram, the name of the body part group is populated in the body part group field and the applicable side, left, right. Field will be auto-selected in the checkboxes if the selected body part has the option. If the selected body part does not have a left-right option, then checkboxes will not have any selection. Other options are provided in the diagram for lookup values that are not physical body parts, like mental stress. The body part group names are also displayed in a new column on the body parts list screen. Okay, let's take a look at how we will add these in our lookup values. So first you're going to go to Setup. You're going to go to Module Setup. You're going to look for Incident Management. Then you're going to go over to Injury, Illness, Lookup Values, Body Parts. As you can see here, we already have a few body parts listed. Let's take a look at arm, elbow. The name of the body part is arm, elbow. The body part group is elbow front. And the status is inactive. So we do want to make sure that it is active. And then you see here, applicable, left, right. You can also see what it would look like in the body part diagram. Next on our agenda for incident management, we're going to take a look at, as an end user, I want to filter body part lookup value using the body parts diagram and the pick list. Let's take a look. The body part pick list screen has the body parts diagram on the left side and the body part values on the right side of the screen. The users can click on multiple body part groups on the body parts diagram. By clicking the body part, lookup values will be filtered to the respective body part groups selected on the body part diagram. Next on our agenda for incident management, we're going to take a look at, as an end user, I want to filter body part lookup value using the body parts diagram and the pick list. Let's take a look. The body part pick list screen has the body parts diagram on the left side and the body part values on the right side of the screen. The users can click on multiple body part groups on the body parts diagram. By clicking the body part, lookup values will be filtered to the respective body part groups selected on the body part diagram. Okay, let's look at the body part filtering live and in action. First, you're going to go to Incident Management, Report New Incident, Injury, Illness, and then let's go down to the pick list. Injured body part pick list. We did elbow. So you're going to click on the diagram, click on the elbow, and then as you can see, arm, elbow, you're going to select it, and then you have the ability to select right or left. And we're going to say it was right, and you're going to select, and now it's showing here. Arm, elbow, right. That is how you will use the diagram to filter the body parts. Thank you.
Thank you. This morning I'm going to go over some of the enhancements that we have added to App Builder, including an enhanced related data control, users by role data source, an ability to concatenate two fields from a data source into an autocomplete field, as well as some improvements to Android. Let's start with the related data control. Currently, we can link a field from one app to another, but we cannot do updates to the parent app. With this enhancement, we can search fields in the parent app as well as update them. Okay, I'm going to go into my Tips and Tricks app. So I'm going to click on Modify. And right here, you'll see I added a control that is the related data control. That's found right here. And the way I set this up, the label on it is for assets. Because what we're going to do is we're actually going to search in the asset registry to bring data over, as well as update data in the other asset registry app. So I've got a sublabel here letting us know that this is going to search the asset registry app. I have it visible and enabled. And then here we have a drop down. It's going to say form to link. If I click this drop down, it's going to show you any apps that you have in your system. So I've selected the asset registry. And then next we have the display columns. And these are fields that are in the asset registry app that you can bring up on the screen in this app. And if I just click in the box, you can see I haven't added every field from the asset registry, but just several of them. All you have to do is select them and they will be added to the list. Next, it's asking about the control type. What we can do with the related data control is search in another app to bring data over into this app. We can add data into another app, or we can do both. I've selected both for this example. Next field we have on here is search columns. So when I am doing a search, what fields am I going to search in the other app? I'm going to search on the asset name. And then finally, we have labels for the search box and for the add button. So it's going to say search existing data or add data when we look at the application from the front. So that's the setup of this control. Once you add that in, click on Save. Now I'm going to go back, click on New, and here's my control. And so I'm going to do a search. And let's say I want to search for a forklift. So I just type that, and here we've got different forklifts that are in our asset registry. To add it into this app, all I have to do is select it, click on Save, and it's now there in my app. I can go back and see it right here. I can also click, and it's going to take me right into the other app, the asset registry app, where we can see this asset. Now I also mentioned that we had an add data function. So we'll just start a new form. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to search in the asset registry for a laptop. So when I type in laptop, nothing comes up. So I'm going to want to add data. And now here I am, I'm in the asset registry, and I can add the laptop into the asset registry. Obviously, you want to make sure that you complete all of your required fields. The asset class would be office equipment. Once you have that in, you can click on Save. That has now been added to the asset registry app, and we've added it into our Tips and Tricks app. All I have to do is click on Save. So those are the new features in related data control. In 22.2, we've introduced the users by role data source. Currently, we only have a user by group data source, so we added a similar one for users by role. And this will help you cut down the number of names that are on a user list when you're adding it to the form. Okay, I'm going to go into my app. And you'll see I have a drop-down list here, user by role data source. I noted it's for a licensing user. If I click on this, we can see how it's set up. My data source is the new data source, users by role. I've selected full name for the field. I have not selected a default value. But here I've got my data source filter. And the way this works is you can select any fields from the data source. I selected the role. My action is equals. I can also do it to not equals. And then here is one of the roles in the system. If I click, I can start typing and see other roles that we have. I'm just going to leave it with the licensing user. As a contrast, I want to show you I set up a drop-down list with no filter. The data source is just users and its full name. Now if we go out front to look at the app, and I'll click on new, here's the user by role data source. And when I click on the drop-down, we only see one name. There's only one person that's set as a licensing user, so I have a very short list. As opposed to if I click on the user list, and here I have a long name of users. This is an unfiltered list. This is filtered by role specifically to the licensing user. We've added the ability to concatenate, or show as a sublabel, another data source field in autocomplete fields. Currently, we can only display one column of a data source, but with this enhancement, we can add a secondary column of the same data source into the display for any single or multi-select autocomplete controls. First, we're going to look at the data source. So I'm going to go here to manage data sources. And I know that my data source is called Dependency Suggestion Focus Area. So if I click on this data source, you'll notice that this data source has two columns, a focus area and focus area suggestions. When we add this into our app, we'll be able to display both of these columns in a single dropdown. So if we go into our app, and here's an autocomplete control. So if we look, the data source for this is Dependency Suggestion Focus Area. And then the data source field is Focus Area. Then we also have an additional display field, Focus Area Suggestions, and no default value set. So now if I go and look at my app out front, and I click on the drop down here, I'm seeing both columns of my data source. We've made some great usability enhancements for Android. First off, user will now be able to see static icons that are configured for the fields. This is currently available in iOS, and now we have brought that to Android. We've improved the tree view by displaying parent nodes even though they are inactivated so that the tree structure is visible. While the structure is fully visible, you will not be able to select these. We currently have this in iOS. And finally, we've improved the usability of the segment to control. So values with long text will no longer truncate. The size of the control will vary based on the amount of text that is entered. This is only on Android right now. It'll be coming soon to iOS. Now with some more items for App Builder, here's Jasmine.
Thank you, Fred. All right, let's take a look at a few other items on the App Builder's agenda. We're going to look at the ability to include a QR code in the system-generated reports, and then the flexibility to download attachments from notifications. Let's start with including a QR code on the system-generated reports. In this new version, we introduced a configuration to include QR code in the system-generated reports. Users have to switch to system-defined header with QR code for the existing forms to generate the QR code moving forward. If any app doesn't need to have this feature, we can let the PDF remain as is with the default option, System Defined Header. Let's see what this looks like in the system. First, you're going to click on the Apps icon, and let's go ahead and modify a report that has already been built. Then you're going to go to App Settings. Once you're there, click on Report Builder. Then you're going to go and modify the template. You're going to click the drop down, select System Defined Header with QR code, and then be sure to click Save. Now let's take a look at what that QR code will look like on a form. As you can see, I've already completed the form, and now we're going to go ahead and export the form. Once you export to PDF, you click on the exported form, and there's your QR code. Next on the App Builder agenda, let's look at the flexibility to download attachment from the notifications. Users can download attachments from email notifications. If an upload control is configured in a notification, then a hyperlink is made available. By clicking the hyperlink of the attachment, it would redirect users to your Process Map application and ask for authorization. Once authorized, the attachment automatically downloads. Let's go look how it's done. You're going to start by clicking on the Apps icon again. Let's modify an existing report. You're going to go under the Advanced tab. Scroll down to File Upload. We're going to rename it to Attachments. And then you're going to click Save. We'll start by naming the notification. Let's call this App Builder Notification. You want to make sure that the status is active and the type is immediate. For the conditions, we're going to pick location equals Westlake, and then next. From there, you will select the template. We're going to select System Template. The email subject, we want it to say version 22.2 App Builder. Then you want to set up your recipients. We're going to click on New. You can set them up by location, levels, users, roles, and others. Make sure I'm the user. Let's look at users. Let's send this notification to myself, Jasmine. Let's then select the file. Then you want to set up your recipients. You can set them up by location, levels, users, roles, and others. Let's look at users. Let's send this notification to my... And this is how the email notification will look once it's received in your email. Then you will go ahead and click the link. And there it is. Now I'm passing it over to David Perez, who will be covering activity management.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone and good morning. This is David Perez and I have the opportunity to discuss a couple of features here that we have available for you. First one I have is activity management. So we do have two particular upgrades here. Let's get to this. And so you'll see rearranging the calendar dashboards. We'll get to this one here and you'll see that prior to the upgrade, the charts were not actually sequence-based on feature usage. So this particular upgrade will basically rearrange the calendar's dashboard charts as per priority activities by our end users to improve the usability. So the purpose is to have that dashboard per action item. So you'll see that now in the new feature. The next one here that I have available for you is changing from day or week or month. So prior to this upgrade, when a user selected something in the future, let's say, or even in the past, let's say they selected, some date in the next month in September, and then they changed the view from day, week, or month, it would actually default back to whatever current date the person is actually using. So now this upgrade will maintain the date filter state irrespective of the view it's been selected. So when selecting now day, week, or month, it will actually stay within that time frame that the user has selected. So really good feature. All right, next one here for our chemicals. We actually have one upgrade, and this one is a display in future use. So whenever a user goes in and basically creates a future date, and when I mean future date, we're talking about the future in use date. So when that's selected, prior to this upgrade, users can no longer find that time frame or that chemical with the future date. So we have created two views. One of them is all archived chemicals, and the other is all archived future date chemicals. So you'll be able to now find any chemicals that has a future date. Last but not least, we do have performance management here, and there are two upgrades that have been created for this, and then both of them, of course, for system admins. And so the very first one is an easier way to create a program, and the easiest way is actually just to copy an existing program. So now you have the option within the sustainability or program management tool to just go ahead and select from an existing program and copy that data. So the user will be able to select the program, copy it using that copy button. The system will open program details page, which is usually the next page. It'll populate all the fields from the original program except for the date. So that's very important. You need to make sure that you make updates to those dates. Another thing, you will have a prefix. So the words copy of whatever program. So in this particular scenario, we have safety program for 2021. So you'll see it say copy of safety program 2021. That is so that you can draw your eyes to that and make sure you change those, that new program. Alrighty, so next upgrade here. It's a good update here that people do like or have asked for. And now the system admin has the option to recalculate data for an existing KPI when the formula is changed. So a big note here that the recalculation option will be visible for existing KPIs, but only if there is a derivative KPI in the configuration to this program, there is historical data available, or there is a change in the formula, or if it's a new KPI. So please keep an eye out for that as well. The recalculation option will also be visible for new KPIs when the derivative KPI is configured to a program reporting frequency is configured. So system also provides options for users to choose the period in which the new formula should be applied on to that existing data. Once you've made changes, you will receive an option that we have here on your screen, and it is the option to either make changes to the current year, the last 2 years, or the last 3 years. So our end users using this fiscal year configuration with these options will be displayed accordingly to the period in which they're considered as per their configuration. All right, so that is it for my updates. I will pass this on to Jackie. Thank you all.
Thanks, David. That was a great overview of the new and improved features for those modules. Next, I'd like to go over one of my favorite modules and the new updates we have in our 22.2 release for audit management. In this new release, we have added 4 product level changes and 1 configurable change. Our first update to the audit management module is to help with user usability, and it's to close the comment pop-up automatically. Prior to the 22.2 release, this comment pop-up didn't close when a user closes the successful data save message. So a user would have to click on the close button specifically to close the pop-up and continue on to the questionnaire. Now, in our latest release, the system will show a confirmation message with the option to stay on the comment pop-up or to close and continue to the questionnaire screen. The next update to our audit management module is probably one of my favorites through our entire 22.2 release, and it's the ability to search for questions to add to a protocol. Prior to this release, users did not have an option to search for a question in the questions list screen to add the desired question to a protocol in the Manage Audit Protocols. Now, with this update, you have the ability to search, sort, and download audit questions in the Manage Audit Protocols. The questions list screen will have question category hierarchy, question ID, question type, response created, and status. The question categories column is added to the list screen, which will display the hierarchy, and this can be used to search for questions from a particular child category or from the parent category, including all child categories. This will definitely save a lot of our users a lot of time when setting up protocols and adding questions. Speaking of time savers, the next enhancement added to this release will also help in that department as well, and that's the ability to copy location questions and protocols while using the copy location feature. Prior to this release, the location copy feature did not have the functionality to copy location questions and/or protocols. Now, system administrators will have the option to copy protocols and questions as the component to copy for audit management. If protocols is selected, all protocols of the source location along with the respective questions and site questions will be copied over to the new location. If questions is selected, all site questions of the source location will be copied over to the new location. This is a great feature that will help complete the initial setup for locations and save a lot of time. Our last product level change in our audit management module is an update to the audit report. Prior to our 22.2 release, the report that's generated from the Audit Results Reports tab did not have clear section headers and also did not have the ability to have notes and program status available. With this new update, you'll now see the option to check the box for notes as well as program status to export in this report. When you export this report, you'll now also notice clear defined headers and a bit easier to read report. Our last enhancement to the audit management module is another really exciting one and is the ability to pinpoint a finding location on a facility layout. Some of you may recall this functionality from our incident management module, and now we have also added it to our audits module. Once this functionality is enabled, the drop-a-pin control will be visible in the Findings Detail screen of an audit to identify the location of the findings on the facility layout map. Information displayed on the mouse over to the finding dots will include finding ID, finding title, and finding type. Once auditors pinpoint the findings on the facility layout map, this useful information can be identified. Once auditors pinpoint the findings on the facility layout map, this information can be extremely useful in identifying the density of findings within a facility. That covers our updates to our audit management module, and I hope you are as excited as I am to test out these new features. Next, I'll be going through a couple new enhancements to our learning management module. In this release, we have one product level change and one configurable feature. With our first new update to the 22.2 release, users now are able to send a notification if a session, course, or employee gets deleted or inactivated. With this new enhancement, when a user changes the status of a session from active to inactive, the prompt, "Do you want to notify employees that the session is inactivated?" will pop up, and on selection of OK, the notification will send to the respective employee and instructors. When a user removes an employee from an existing session, a warning message, "If you have deselected the existing employees from the session, then the related records will also be removed. Do you wish to continue?" will show before updating the session, and if OK is selected, the notification will be sent to the removed employees only. When a user deletes a session from the Manage Session List screen, the prompt, "Do you wish to notify employees that the session is inactivated?" will pop up, and on selection of OK, the notification will send to the respective employee and instructors. Our other update to the Learning Management module is a configurable enhancement that gives an additional field and value on the Outcome screen. We now have a new field called Trained/Certified, which will have the values trained, certified, or trained and certified when outcome is selected as complete. The selected value will be available on the certificate as well, and the trained and certified field will also be available in the outcome import utility. If you have any questions regarding these new enhancements in the 22.2 release for the Audit Management module or the Learning Management module, please reach out to your CSM. And now I'll pass it over to Karen to walk through even more new and exciting features.
Thank you, Jackie. Great coverage on the LMS and Audit module. Today I'm going to be covering our newest module called OPN, also known as Operational Management module. And the first feature that I am going to be talking about is going to be covering a product level change, where now, as a system admin, you will have the ability to push in protocol changes to existing profiles. Currently in our system, we do not have the option to push changes into protocols to existing protocols where protocols are being used. User usually had to go one by one and do the changes in order to effect the change. However, now with this new and enhanced system, we are now offering a reload protocol column in the list screen. The column will display a reload option for those protocols where any changes need to be made. Also, to enhance the user experience and usability, we have added a filtering sorting system where you can go ahead and when you click it, it will update based on date. I want to make sure and point out that these changes are non-configurable and there will be no downstream impact to any of the users. The next update will be a configurable update where now, if you want to assign a scope for each activity, you can't. This enhancement is called Enable Activity Scope. Currently, the admin does not have the ability to turn off the scope screen activity applicable tab and will have caused redundant work for customers who frequently add new location into their organizational structure. With this enhancement, we provide flexibility to manage activity applicability by only activity filter or both, activity filters and activity location scope. Enhanced system. With this new configuration, we are now able to turn off the activity location scope feature, and then when the feature is turned off, the system will push the activity to all locations where the filter questions responses match. And that covers all the new updates for OPM. I hope you enjoy them, and I'm very excited about this release on 22.2 on all the different modules. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
I want to thank everyone for attending our session today. Our next tips and tricks will be on Wednesday, September 28th at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Our topic will be system admin troubleshooting. We'll keep the chat open for a couple more minutes should you have any last questions, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you.